I'd like to welcome you all. Today is a very special day. We are here with a very special theme, Women in Diplomacy. Here we will be hosting our women ambassadors. Yet it is not an easy path, it's not an easy way, and we will be talking through these paths and women in diplomacy together with our ambassadors. With your permission, we would like to give the floor to Nalideep Handuru. I would like to welcome her. Do you have Madame? She is also attaching great importance to the women issues. She's also attaching great importance to peace talks. She's a very important person for us. She's a very special person to us. She's also Madame Lassasi Duba is also here with us, Ambassador to Africa. And we would like to thank Undersecretary of Sudan. I have forgotten some names. I would like to welcome you all in person. So, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Today we will be talking about a very important topic, a topic that we haven't been talking for a long time, place of women in diplomacy. As you know, there are a lot of books published lately about women in diplomacy. Especially we are talking about the men-dominated careers. So there are some data shown and shared. In Turkey, the first women ambassador is Filiz Dinçmen. In 1982, she was assigned to Hooks. She is the first diplomat. The first woman diplomat is assigned to her career in 1932. In 1932, she started, yet in 1934, 2 years later, we have seen there was a directorate. She resigned her position because it was said that women cannot be assigned to ambassador posts. Yet then she became an academician within that scope of time. After 20 years, with the elimination of this decree of law, she was assigned to Belgrade and the Hawks. And in Ankara, we have 359 women, and we have 224 women diplomats in Ankara. In foreign countries, we have 215 women and 446 men. And we can talk about in the central organization, we have 225 men assigned in the central post, and we have 204 women in the central organization. In the foreign countries, this percentage is about to fall, and it is 328 women and 192 women. So we can say that the 42% is men and 34% is women. So how can women ascend in this career that's mostly dominated by men? Well, we can see that women can also become ambassadors. We will be talking about this glass ceiling. So how does this impact the glass ceiling? As you know, we are facing this glass ceiling. How can we break this glass ceiling, or is there another method to follow? We'll be delving deeper into these topics. Let me talk about the statistics. In 2020, we had 22 ambassadors, women ambassadors in 2012. And in 2015, we have 32, and the number has risen to 43, and in 2018 it was 51, and today we have 82 women ambassadors assigned. This is a great rise in the numbers. This is a really good cause to be happy with these numbers, we can be satisfied, but the percentage is only 27.7% of the ambassadors are women. We're satisfied, yet we want it to be better. Equality of gender is important in terms of representation of women. As you know, United Nations 24 of June is declared a day of women in diplomacy, international diplomacy. It's a good development, it's a good advance for us, and I wish that it will be celebrated in all our missions abroad and in Turkey. Let me introduce you our ambassadors. We have Hayriye Kumaşçıoğlu. She was assigned in 1991. She is responsible for Central and Northern Europe. Bucharest, Hanover, Lefkoşa, Athens is one of the places that she was assigned to serve to. She was lately ambassador to Estonia. We have Nilvana Darama Yıldırım Geç, ambassador. She is the Director General for Multilateral Political Affairs of Foreign Affairs, Wellington, New Zealand. Kuwait Agate is one of the places that she has worked in the European Council and Vienna Office of the UN. International Atom Energy Office is one of the places, some of the places that she has worked. And lately, she was the ambassador to Nice. She was assigned to Directorate General. And last but not least, we have Elif Çumoğlu Ülgen that was assigned to the Foreign Affairs Ministry in 1995. She worked in Islamabad. She worked in a permanent representation of the UN and Southern Africa, and now she is the Director General for East and South Africa. They successfully represented our country all around the world. Our aim is to give a perspective to young people, tell them about what type of life is expecting them. We would like to listen to these points from the words of our ambassadors. Let me ask you, Hayriye Kumaşçıoğlu, why did you choose this career? I would like to welcome you all. Thank you so much for dedicating time for listening us. I am a graduate of Foreign Relations, Foreign Affairs of University of Ankara in 1998. It was a natural course. It was a natural conclusion for us to choose a Minister of Foreign Affairs for us. If you are interested in other cultures, other countries, this was a natural choice for us. It was 32 years ago. I never regretted even once. I think it was the right choice for us. Well, that's it. Great. So let me address Ambassador Nilvana the same question. Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure for me joining with young people and those who are staying young. I hope and wish that you will become our colleagues. So this profession is an idealism profession. When I decided to become a diplomat, I was only studying in a primary school. I was interested in geography, history. I studied as Ambassador Hayriye, Foreign Affairs, Political Affairs, and after graduating, I was assigned to Minister of Foreign Affairs. So, those who would like to choose this profession, I would advise them to see that as an ideal. In order for them to adopt this ideal, maybe it will be beneficial for them to get to know the profession better. Well, we will be also listening the anecdotes of the people, and the same question. I'm addressing the same question to Ambassador Elif. It's a coincidence. It's a coincidence that we are the alumni of the same school. This school holds a special place in the bureaucratic history of Republic of Turkey. It was seen as the political affairs school of Republic of Turkey. So now we can see that there are a lot of young, dynamic minds, people who are working in the ministry. They are graduates from different schools, but they have to adapt the same idealism that we have in the foreign affairs department. So it is a sensation to be representing your country in the shadow of your own flag. When you're representing your country with a passion, despite all the difficulties, it is not something that you can do only for fame. I'd like to thank our esteemed ministers for honoring us with their presence. I'm full of hope and I'm full of excitement. Thank you so much. Indeed. Yeah, you have to be idealist to be working in this profession. It's nothing to be done for the fame and recognition, and you have to have a love of your country, love of patria. So I am an academician that's working on immigration politics, but I'm married to a diplomat. So it's been a long year since we decided. I didn't know what was expecting me, but I have seen in every condition we survived and thrived in every condition. Yet, without further ado, well, yes, we have been assigned to different places, different posts, different geographies, maybe geographies that are unknown to us. We learned about those countries after being assigned to those countries. And I know that Ambassador Elif, she loves South Africa. It holds a very special place in her heart. Africa, she talks about Africa. She also maybe makes us love Africa. What was the occasion? What was the environment in the countries that you've been to? Are there some special anecdotes? Are there some special interesting anecdotes that you would like to tell us? Maybe you can talk about the love, maybe that was a passion. Also, you face some difficulties. Well, I worked around Turkey. I worked around Turkey. There were the countries where these files were also discussed in Bucharest after the period of time, the Ceausescu, and there was a time where the communism was left behind. It was a very interesting point. Also, ambassadorship is a post that every diplomat has to experience. 3 million of Turkish citizens live in Germany. It was a very difficult position because you are directly dealing with people rather than the foreign affairs. You are there to defend the rights of our citizens. You are there to serve to our citizens, and you're there to facilitate their integration. And you were also dealing with PKK terrorism. It wasn't really as tough. It was just starting. Terrorism was one of the important topics for us. You were in Hamburg. Germany, for a Turkish diplomat, is one of the countries that you have to experience as a Turkish diplomat. After that, I was assigned to Lefkoşa. It was a very interesting position as a diplomat. Northern Cyprus, Northern Turkish Republic of Cyprus was not recognized by any country apart from Turkey. You're working for Turkey and you're working for Northern Republic of Turkey, and we have Russia, our neighbors. Our relations are fluctuating and they play a great role in the world politics. Watching them as a diplomat, monitoring, is a very good learning experience for us. After that, I was assigned to Athens. Well, in Athens, I felt as if I was in Turkey. That was such a post. Well, in Greece, I noticed that we have a lot of common points with Greece. It was very easy for me to adapt. It was a pleasure for me to represent my country. Also, comprehending the politics was really important. It was a very special experience for us. Also, it was a learning experience. They were not very small missions for us. We were working together, women and men, in equal numbers, I would say, but ambassadors was always a man. Thank you so much. I would like to address to Nilvana, Ambassador Nilvana. She has multilateral experiences. Maybe she can also highlight the difference between multilateral and bilateral. As a woman diplomat, comparing those two, especially women, the role of women in multilateral political affairs. Can you please elaborate on that? Thank you so much. So, dynamics of multilateral political affairs and bilateral political affairs are different. In the multilateral political affairs, you always invest a lot of efforts in order to produce a text, a document with the consensus of all the countries, gives you a feeling of content, because it is a result of the negotiations that you always conclude. And sometimes you cannot really conclude. You work for 3 decades and you cannot really produce creative solutions. Maybe you cannot even really you negotiate, but you cannot reach to a consensus. Maybe also you progress and advance little by little, and it is a very satisfaction for your career. I spent 17 years in multilateral political affairs. I was also working on technical points, as well as disarming and different dimensions of human rights. Of course, every country is always working on maximizing their international interests. A lot of forum works with voting system. So if there isn't a consensus, you cannot reach a solution. You have to have a negotiation and consensus culture. And when you are also getting into a conclusion, you have to also defend your rights. These are really tactics of negotiation. The bilateral talks that you hold with your counterparts is important. In the multilateral parts, I can tell that you also have to negotiate with your own country because you hold a different perspective, more realistic perspective. In central positions, the professionals are maybe not that well aware of the facts. You have to go and tell them. It is also another skill. So you're not only negotiating with your counterparts, you're also negotiating with people who are also assigned to central posts. In a bilateral diplomacy, I'm not really good at as multilateral political affairs, but I really know that I have colleagues who are dominating multilateral as well as bilateral political affairs, and they're representing our country successfully. Yes, bilateral and multilateral are different. When we are working with multilateral delegations, you also have to carry out diplomacy in Turkey, not just only with the counterpart delegation. Let me address to Ambassador Elif. Since you set your foot in Africa, what was the experience? How was the experience? What was your feeling? And how did you develop your love for Africa? Thank you so much. For sure, I have to talk about Africa, my developments in my career. So, am I following the political trends or political trends are following me? When I was assigned to Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union was the dream of integration. We were also negotiating about the customs office integration, and I was thinking we continue this in European Union integration and customs office integration, and we will be done with living in welfare and peaceful future. But I was assigned to Pakistan. So, well, the ministry is assigning us to different posts but we are looking to Turkey from different parts. From Pakistan, I was looking to Turkey, and I saw a magnificent country. Sometimes we were criticized by the European countries, but those topics were really point of celebration in other parts of the world. So that made me adopt a more just, equal perspective to my country. And lately, the ultimate 7 or 8 years, I recognized my country from different parts in Africa. In the last decade, Turkey became an actor, not just in the own continent, without prejudice. Of course, it is really difficult for me to speak to Southern African representatives. I am the 7th or 6th ambassador that's assigned to South Africa, but I was really lucky thanks to African politics of Turkey. The ambassador before me, he was accredited to 12 countries. I was only accredited to 2 countries, Lesotho and Eswatini Kingdom. That was an opportunity for me to get to know Africa and work, and also getting to know the countries that I was accredited to. At the same period, with the support of the Southern Africa countries and with the movement at the partnership of our country with Africa, I was really very satisfied to learn a lot of things. I always share with my colleagues and my friends. Since we reside in the Northern Hemisphere, we are integrated to the systems of the Northern Hemisphere. We always take a look at the South here, and we always see the bottom of the continent. Yet it was the beginning of the continent. I saw that it was the beginning of the continent. They're not saying themselves. So you can say that it starts. For us, it always started with Egypt. No, with the partnership of Turkey politics with Africa, we have a greater understanding of this great continent from south to north, east to west. We learned from their perspective, we learned from their understanding. With the advancement politics of Turkey, we benefited well enough. We were deprived of this in the beginning of our years of our Republic of Turkey, but now we're learning a lot. When I talk with counterparts, I see that I am more African than them. In the ministry, in the last 2 decades, we have seen a structure in the ministry has developed a lot in the last 2 decades. It is a passion. Africa is a passion. Africa is a love. I see a lot of colleagues in this whole, and it is a really good area for women ambassadors. So it was a movement that we dedicated ourselves when we resist more than our male colleagues. We are resisting more, we are elevating more. In that point, we have seen 44 ambassadorships and consulates. So we have 16 ambassadors in Africa. In the ministry, we have 2 director general, both women. So I see there are a lot of women colleagues in the ambassadors. Maybe you will be asking this question, but I was really impressed by the African women. So I always believed in the strength of Turkish women, yet when I saw African women, I believe that we are more resilient. We are always speaking our minds without any hesitation and without any doubt. In Turkey, we don't have a quota system. I don't personally believe in a quota system. Even if we have a quota system, women comes to that position when they want to come to that position. Turkey diplomacy in academy, in medical world, it is going through a woman leadership. I believe that Turkish policy will be also given back to grassroots movements of women. I hope we will be learning a lot. In each country, we learn a lot. We also get a perspective on Turkey from that country. We also learn about native population of that country. We learn more about the education systems of that country. That's a very special opportunity and privilege, I believe. So maybe Ambassador Hayriye, let me address you. Women, what can women bring on diplomacy more than men, other than the skills that men can bring? Are there any advantages for women in diplomacy? To be honest, I don't believe that women or men can do this better. I don't think that it's a gender-specific profession. I believe it's about the characteristics, and there are some points that women are stronger, and there are other points that men are stronger. Yet, as a result, our profession is only can be carried out if you are skilled enough. And if you're well equipped, you can do this profession successfully. It doesn't mean that women have the equal opportunities, though. When we first started in the ministry, maybe we were luckier. Maybe we were a luckier generation. For example, in the group that we entered first to ministry, it was a very equal year, 14 girls and 14 boys. It was a really big number for the females. They were also commenting about this back in then. Now, looking back throughout the years in the careers, I ascended to the position of the Director General position, and we see that there are a lot of Director Generals in our ministry. Yet there is a glass ceiling. There's a glass ceiling. No, we will be getting back to glass ceiling. But so I was asking what was the position, advantageous position that women can bring into this profession. Yes, women have a special touch. Women have a skill to touch. Diplomacy is a profession that's done with people. There is a color that women can bring compared to men. That's what I think. Well, as I say, in a general sense, I believe that it's a profession of equality. It's a profession of qualities. Well, let me address the same question to Ambassador Nilan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have very similar ideas with Hayriye, because I always have a human perspective to diplomacy, and there is no differentiation between the genders in terms of diplomacy. So we have to think that we are dealing with human beings. Therefore, there are some tendencies, there are also the communication styles that you have to use, and it is also valid for diplomacy. And in all the countries that I worked, we always talk about the communication style that we have. We always highlight on that. However, we have to think that we are dealing with people, with human beings. Therefore, we have to deal with the human characteristics of that person. And this brings us the success. And both genders can do that really successfully. However, with regard to your question, I can say that in the past, we used to think that the maths or other complicated issues are for men and the soft skills are for women. We used to think like that way. When I was the vice president, the statistics, they were favoring women in United States. I was in a negotiation, and in our delegation, there were not a lot of women. Most of them were male participants, male delegations, and it was about leaving the guns and we were also talk about the eliminating the nuclear weapons, and it was a process of leaving the weapons behind. And we were very few women in that delegation. There were really undersecretariat position within the embassy, and they told me, "Oh, that's really nice. We are now having one woman in this position," and I guess we had 42 undersecretary position, and 22 of them were women. And Miss Elif would also remember that we were dealing with human rights or leaving weapons or struggling against, for example, terrorism, and all these things were always administered by men, generally by men. Therefore, I had that experience as a woman dealing with the same issues. However, there is no distinction of gender with regard to professions. This is way behind now. Yeah, in security, in technical issues, the women diplomats can work, and they do work, and the faculty members, academicians, they can work in these issues, and there are also interlocutors, women interlocutors in negotiations. Therefore, we know that women had a lot of contribution in this area. Do you want to add on that, Miss Elif, with regard to our contribution? Of course, there is no differentiation, separation between male and women. However, I tend to favor positive discrimination. However, we know that 30 years ago, they were always selecting men. However, it is really fair to favor women in these selections. This positive discrimination is really normal. Therefore, we have an added value as women. Therefore, there are changing situations in the world, and we know that, we have these sad-looking men in suits, in black suits. When I was in Dubai as an ambassador, I was the only woman, and in Dubai we know that it is a really modern Arabic place, but they did not let me to VIP places because they were asking for my husband to come first. So therefore we need to crack all these prejudices. When you go to a place, if you have a very colorful cloth, if you have a smiling face as a woman, and they say that sometimes it is out of the context, but this is really nice actually, because we are getting rid of these prejudices and these trends in United Nations, in South Africa also. There is a peace, security, and women proposals, recommendations, and they are also getting rid of the cliches. And diplomacy has been really important for this process. And I have learned a lot in South Africa, and I know what kind of contributions Turkey has had and what kind of contributions can have in the future. This is really important to know about our contribution as women and also as men. What can we do in security, in other technical issues? We know a lot to do. So we have a lot of experiences. I was in NATO in the military, working in the military area, and I have seen that there were a lot of disputes between countries, and we can have a lot of easier communication as women. Actually, this is an innate property, an innate character, but as multitasking characteristics, we are better as women. I'm also a mother, and we really deal with the multitasking. So you say I can wear colorful clothes and I can make a good representation of the Republic of Turkey. And of course, when we talk about our husbands, they always, think that we are only wives. Do you have also similar experiences? Yeah, I have the same experience, because they always tend to think that my husband is the ambassador, not me. Yeah, we will also talk about that, because it is also about your private life. I got married in a very later age, so when we talk about the spouses, I didn't have one, so they knew that I was the ambassador. In Kuwait, I was responsible for the consulate affairs. I was an official in Kuwait, and it was a very highly important position, because the normal people, they knew you, but they did not know who the consulate was. When I was in negotiation with the Kuwait authorities, authorities, when I was talking to them, I had the translator. When I was talking to them, they were not looking at my face. They were looking at the translator. I was answering them, but they were looking at the translator, not me. So I had some similar experiences as a woman diplomat. Yeah, that's right. When I was a consulate there, you know, when they come, the citizens, when they come to the consulate, I was in my 20s, and a small woman. So they said, our consulate, where is the consulate men? Because they were always, you know, they had this idea of Mr. Consulate, not Miss Consulate. So there is a kind of a male hegemony in these authorities. It is Mr. Consulate, Mr. Ambassador, but it is never Miss Ambassador. So they are defining these this institution as a male dominant. When I was in Hamburg, I had a speech in a women association in Germany, and I had a black jacket, as you mentioned, and I was to start my speech, and they told me, "Oh, what a pity, you're so young," they told me. So as you told us, you need to be, you know, an older or a wife of somebody important. I would like to add on that. I was in Minsk in the embassy, and I had really nice relationships. It was really warm environment. It's really friendly. And the president of parliament was talking to me, and he said, for 4 years, I never thought that I was talking to a woman, because you are negotiating with us, talking to us as a man, so you are as good as a man. So I don't know if it was a compliment or not, but he told me that, yeah, there are some differences, gender differences in terms of these ideas, but there are some American diplomat, Miss Miller, she also worked in NATO, and she said, it is not enough to be as good as men as a diplomat. You need to be better than men. And Filiz Dinçmen in 2021, she said in a newspaper that there has been a lot of issues with regard to her marriage, and she was married to a diplomat. But after all these issues, I never regret being assigned as a diplomat. I would have done the same, she told. So I would like to give the floor to Miss Elif again. You are the ambassador, you are the director general, and you have 3 sons. So you are a mother of 3, and you are an ambassador. So what is the balance between your personal life and your career? In today's world, this is really not difficult. What is difficult is that deciding to have children, and after deciding on that, it is the same if you have 1 or 3 children. There is no difference, but there is an academy for young diplomats. It is really important and highlighted by our minister also. They also ask me this question: what is your balance between private life and your career? My 3rd son was born when I was assigned in NATO, and there was an operation of Libya at that area, and I was really pregnant, and they told me that you should name him as Muammer. I have some colleagues, male colleagues, maybe from that period. I was 35 years old then. I was pregnant, and my colleagues' wives, some of the colleagues of the wives, they were also pregnant, and they had some blood tests. And you have to take some leave. If you have to go to the hospital, you have to go to the committee. They record all your speech when you are doing that justification of your leave. So each time I had to take a leave, there were a lot of paperwork. I had 2 times of leave, and I was trying to locate them during the weekend, because in Brussels they do not work at the weekend. But my male colleagues, they are not pregnant, their wives are pregnant, but they are always in leave. Blood test, ultrasound, screening, whatever. But the wives can drive, they are driving, they have cars. Why do I not do the same? Because they are taking the leave all the time as male. So if I take leave as 3 times, our ambassador might also, our ambassador might give more leaves to maybe my male friends. Therefore, we always think about all these issues. Some issues that are not really problematic to men can be really problematic for women. Now I am the decision maker. Now I am the president. Therefore, I know that there are a lot of tasks about pregnancy, so I'm trying to be really understanding towards all these people. So we should accept all these parts as equal parts. We have to interiorize all these things, because we should have some special. We should think about our permissions and leaves with regard to these special situations such as pregnancy. So the glass ceiling, we have this issue everywhere. If we have the same education, we are working at the same job, so we get less pay than the men. It is the same thing all around the world. So what is glass ceiling, and does it exist in the foreign ministry, in foreign affairs? Not only in foreign affairs, not only in Turkey, it exists all around the world. We have had a lot of progress as women, we know that, and within the ministry, when we got into this job, we had few women ambassadors, but now it has developed a lot, and we have a lot more authorities, women authorities in the ministry. Maybe it is more than the half. When I was in Bucharest, they told me, "Oh, you are really lucky because the ambassador does not have any problem to work with a woman." She told me when I was the consulate. And another colleague of mine had a lot of issues because the ambassador did not want to work with a woman. But now it's not. It is not the case. No, it's on the contrary. Now they prefer working with women, actually. Yeah, all the vice ministry, we have a lot of women working, but we do not have any vice minister as women. Women vice ministers, it doesn't exist. Some positions are male dominant in Paris, in London, in NATO. We do not have a lot of women heads, authorities. In AGID, in all other institutions, we have a lot of women presidents. So we are trying to crack this glass ceiling. We are developing. We are trying to eliminate that. So it is changing from bottom towards the highest positions. So we have to be decisive, we have to be stubborn, and we need to establish good relationships with the ministry in order to do that. So in the foreign affairs, we had some male solidarity. And is there any female solidarity within the foreign affairs? Yes, there is, but it does not exist in our discourse, let's say. For example, I worked with a colleague who did not want to work with women, or on the contrary, there are some male authorities who prefer to work with the women. We are a female dominant place. We have a really nice team, mostly women. We have really good relationship in other places. The male authorities, they work better between men. They prefer working among men. So it is really difficult to generalize. It depends on the situation. Would you like to add on that? Yeah, I agree on this. When I was in the Foreign Affairs, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I have not witnessed any discrimination, but I have heard a lot of cases, and it was really disappointing for me from a woman perspective. Sometimes there are some unnecessary compliments that I get. Just because you are a woman diplomat, you should not get a compliment. Before, in the older times, there were not a lot of women diplomats, so they were thinking about our pregnancy, our leaves, our working style. And now, when I get female and male authorities, and I say to my male colleagues, I will keep my eye on you. Not on the female part, on the male part. Yeah, this is the equitative treatment, let's say. Maybe we can give some recommendations to the youth. There might be some people. How many youngs would like to get this job, would like to work as diplomats? Could you raise your hands? So what are your recommendations to these young people? Beyond a profession, this is a lifestyle, because diplomacy will have an impact in your private life, on your friends, on your experiences. It has an impact on every aspect of your life. So if you decide to work as a diplomat, you cannot say, okay, I will be a diplomat up to 6 o'clock, and after that I will get into my private life. But this is not possible. You will be ambassador, you will be consulate, and it will stick to your identity. You will carry that with you all the time. And therefore, it is really exciting for many people. This is really exciting, yes. And you have to be curious to learn. Yeah, there are a lot of difficulties, yes. But this is a great honor to represent Turkey abroad. You represent the culture, history, your country. So this is about all the honors and all the happiness that we have in the world. So if you have that vision, you accept this work as a lifestyle, and you accept it with all the difficulties that it has. And there are a lot of challenges. You have to put a lot of effort. You need to make an investment effort. And when you are assigned, you start from the bottom. And all the responsibility that you assume will make you ascend. So you have to get into that world through an apprenticeship. So you will start from the bottom, you will make a lot of effort, and you will ascend pace by pace. Yeah, we have to highlight on that. this internship, this apprenticeship is really common within the ministry. So we have to prepare the young people through this learning process. I agree with the other ambassadors. This is a marathon. This is a long process. You have to love your country and love human beings, and you have to be a part of this system, of this authority, and you cannot get, you might be disappointed. They might kick you out of the center, and I have seen during the 32 years of experience in this job, there must be some disappointing experiences, but there is always justice, because we work on a really special cause, because we work for our country. So this is really impressive to be with you, and we have also ambassadors from the first line. Do you have any contribution? I would like to ask to the other ambassadors in the hall. Thank you. So we can get some questions, a couple of questions. Yeah, we have a question from our ambassador. Kaan Lisener. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude and respect to all my women counterparts. We live in a male-dominant world, and it is the same in the diplomacy and ministry. Therefore, within this bureaucracy and male-dominant world, your survival is really important. Your survival and your participation is really important. Therefore, I would like to thank you with all my heart. In this job, in this position, in all the phase of your life, there is a complementary place. But please do not misunderstand me. We are complementing women. Sometimes we are very violent as men. There are some other hormones that are affecting us. So this perspective is really important for us. We need women diplomats, not only here, but also upper positions. Why don't we have, for example, women vice ministers? Because we have a lot of valuable diplomats who can get this position, but they sometimes underestimated, and it is not acceptable that they are underestimated. But besides, but we should have had some male panelists among you, because we have a lot of things to say. This is another detail. We will have next year. We can do that. We can talk about gender equality, and we can give floor to the spouses, because the spouses might have a lot of things to say also. Okay, we have another contribution. Thank you very much, ambassadors. Thank you very much, Ms. Akçapar, for organizing this panel. Here is my question. As an ambassador woman, you have represented our country in many different places. It has a lot of difficulties, that's for sure. And as Ambassador Elif mentioned, during very stressful periods, beyond that professionalism, what are the motivations for you? What are the motivations from where you get that motivation? And beyond the love for your country, what are the motivations do you have? Your love for your profession, the professionalism. of course, because we talk about the stress. We face stress every time, everywhere. We have to deal with that. This is a process, and within our career, we always lived with stress. And as Elif mentioned, each day is a different day. We have to turn the page and we have to continue. There are always disappointments, errors. Always there are. However, you have to keep going. And in your career, in order to proceed, you have to have this resilience. Yeah. Professional love is really important. This is not a very easy task. I could not do that. I love my job, but your job is difficult, more difficult than mine, I guess, because you have to travel a lot. After 4 years, you go to another place, you stay in Turkey, and you get into an integration process in everywhere you go. You have to learn the language and you come back to Turkey, and we know what is going on in Turkey and all the places that you are working. Actually, even if you are abroad, we work in a Turkish territory. However, if you do not love this job, you cannot do it. This is my experience and also the experience of my husband. You cannot do this job if you do not love your job. Solidarity is really important. Cooperation is really important. You have to have a lot of people that you have to cooperate with. For example, with your family. During the pandemic, I was in Africa, and it was really far away from Turkey, and I was really worried for my own family and also for the Turkish citizens living in Africa. And we were supposed to resolve the problems of citizens in Africa. We were 4 ambassadors, women ambassadors in Africa, Moslana and Mozambique ambassador, and we had a group, and we had Sub-Saharan Africa group, and we were gathering. We had regular meetings. We were sharing our problems and working on the solutions. Therefore, you can resolve everything if you want to.
I'd like to give to Madame Letsasa Duba, por favor. Yes, we partially answered that question, but that was a long path. What type of problems you have faced? Maybe you have faced more problems and you had to exert more efforts compared to men. We will be asking the same question to you. Well, let's start with yes, young people. Young people, well, we would like to take your questions. Hi. First of all, distinguished ambassadors, I am myself studying and international relations in your own school. Well, as Mrs. Shebnem mentioned, as women in the society, we are here to exist as a young people. What is your suggestion? What is your advice to young women in this diplomacy? Thank you so much. Well, one more question, please. I would also like to thank you. I study international relations in the University of Marmara. With the idealism, I hope to get the privilege to serve in the positions that you're serving. My question is about the title of this panel, Women in Diplomacy. In the preparation period, we were discussing that with our ambassador Gonca. Women in Diplomacy is also, we always like a woman. They put woman in the title. For a young student, like me, it is also raising awareness. Yes, we are raising awareness, but from a different perspective, it's just a profession. Women and men do the same position. It is a positive discrimination. I believe that there shouldn't be a positive discrimination when we are putting these titles. Maybe we also listened about the equality. You talked and you highlighted equality, gender equality. What should we pay attention to from that perspective? What's your take on this issue? Another question, just one more question from young people. Hi. That's one of the most delightful panels that I have been joining to. I have a very personal question. So what are your personal qualities, characteristics that contribute to this profession? We also highlighted the technical parts of this profession. I believe that there are some characteristics that might contribute to this profession. What are they? Thanks. So let's start with the responses. Well, Madame Pandar, would you like to say a few words? Madame Pandar, would you like to take the floor? Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much for your contribution. Well, South Africa foreign minister mentioned that women deserve it all. Why do we title this panel as Women in Diplomacy or Diplomacy from the Perspective of Women? Well, women are equal as men. We will be just putting a title as just diplomacy when women are equal. There is some advice I give to my students. My husband knows it well. For women to have the same rights with men is real feminism. Real feminism is having the same rights. So we're not any different than the men. We are equalitarian. So if men approach the same, then we can succeed an equal world. Today, in today's world, in our country, we have seen a lot of developments, a lot of advancements, but considering the different situations in the world, we cannot ignore them as an ambassador, as a human being. Well, I would like to give the floor in order to take the response. Is the characteristics of a person, personality is important? Maybe I would like to comment. Well, of course, characteristics is important, but not just as a woman. For each and every individual in this society, characteristics and personality is important. For example, my discourse is really soft. My style is really soft. I always convince people. I don't fight with people. So I have succeeded this. I have succeeded in this. So this is my discourse. This is my style. But not every woman is soft. It's not correct to say. I have seen a lot of women with the fist, with a strong fist that are fighting. Well, I have seen those women colleagues who are fighting with their fists. So these methods are really particular to that person. This is really personal, so it makes a difference in diplomacy as well as man for the woman. Well, let me also touch on this title in the woman. It's really important. I totally agree with Mrs. Shebnam. If when we are equal with men, we won't be needing this woman. In the positive discrimination, I have my own difficulties in the international organizations. So when you are a woman, you are chosen as a candidate. If there's a criteria, if the woman and a man holds the equal skills, if you're a woman, you are chosen. When I apply to an international post, if I have the same qualities with the men candidates, if I am to accept it as the skills, I don't want to be chosen just because I'm a woman. So I don't think that's not good for me. So anything that you would like to take the floor? We support positive discrimination. We support positive discrimination until women occupy the equal positions. Positive discrimination is good for us, serves us well. Well, we will be needing positive discrimination for a long time. It is, apart from the necessities being a woman and a man, it's not the case for a lot of professions, but we see that there's a negative discrimination towards women. In order to eliminate that, we will be needing positive discrimination. For how long? For how long? For a long time, in general, in the world. Well, if a woman and a man has the same qualities, if a man is chosen just because he's a man, we need a system that eliminates this injustice. That's what we need. So as you know, March 8th, Women's Day is approaching. In this context, we would like to congratulate Women's Day sincerely. So without further ado, I'm concluded my panel. I would like to thank the Foreign Minister, and I see that that's a pioneering. Our Foreign Ministry is pioneering in gender equality, and they are also celebrating. We are witnessing that women are also successful in this profession. Our Foreign Affairs Ministry is more equalitarian compared to other public institutions. So I'm very content and glad. I would like to thank to our president, as our president says, in the future, if we are to advance our country to a further degree, we have to work in solidarity, men and women, and our foreign affairs will be leading in this. Thank you so much for listening.